Oh, hi there. Wanted to give it a couple of days. It's actually been going on for a few weeks, but I want to express my opinion about the Hong Kong protesters, primarily around the extradition treaty that is being proposed and had been thought of for a very long time. A guy I would recommend that anyone watch would be Chris Chappell on China Uncensored. There seems to be two sides to the argument, two dominant sides that have their set of opinions. Some people are going to sway a little bit from each side for different reasons. That's the nature of the argument. Um, some people are pro democracy. They don't want the Chinese Communist Party to be empowered. They want limited influence from the mainland Chinese into Hong Kong business. And then the other side believes that China rightfully owns Hong Kong, and for whatever reasons, they've deemed it's the best for Hong Kong that the mainland Chinese assimilates that province back into the Chinese Communist Party. I've got an opinion that will piss off both groups because I fundamentally disagree with a lot of things. Okay, let's get some things out there. The Hong Kong police? Fuck them. They're a bunch of assholes anyway. They're particularly asshole-ish. So the switch over to mainland Chinese police, although it is bad, it isn't that much worse. Well, it is, but you know, there isn't much for it. The mainland Chinese could easily crush Hong Kong. There's no such thing as deflector shields. There's nothing that could stop them from doing that at any time. However, getting back to China being empowered, we don't want them to think that. However, Hong Kong also is a liability. It has no resources or strategic value anymore, and hasn't for a long time. And when you start to realize that, an extradition treaty to a regime that routinely executes people for petty crimes, mostly, making statements against the Communist Party, uh, chops up people for their organs, and all this sort of stuff, you start to go, this is serious business, this extradition treaty. However, in light of that, how did the Hong Kong government respond? How have they responded in global events? I made a video about September 11th and how I believed it was the Chinese regime that played a hand in it, and also other Asian countries. That would include Hong Kong. I strongly believe that. And as I said a few moments ago, the strategic value and the monetary value of Hong Kong is gone. The money that is in Hong Kong is essentially worthless. They were the middlemen for the slave labor that was coming out of China. So these are not nice people to start off with. However, where I live in Vancouver, many people are from Hong Kong, and they have relatives that are still there. And I don't know if this is a case of all the rats leaving the sinking ship or what, but them trying to make their problem our problem and associating China with Canada, and they do this simultaneously by waving both flags. Excuse me, that is your fucking problem. I understand that's a significant problem, but I don't feel like that the Canadian government should be taking full responsibility of it. The British occupied Hong Kong for a better part of 99 years. And I know, okay, things were different then. And the policies were different. But as I keep stating, they are a liability at this point in time. And there isn't anything more that the Western powers can gain out of retaining the Hong Kong government's position in society, in the world society. I don't particularly like the idea of the Communist Party gaining more power or even appearing to do so over the weakening Western powers, in particular the United States. You know, and when you have to remember, when you watch the news and, Taiwan just got slammed, according to the news, by Hong Kong, by China, because they'll take in Hong Kong asylum seekers. You have to remember that China is always biting at the ankles of Taiwan. They're always pissed off of them. That's never changed. They've always been pissed off of them. And they want more. And it's in they can't be satiated. As a hypothetical, if Hong Kong, Taiwan, and maybe even Japan were given to China, that would not satiate them. However, is there any value other than the name of having Hong Kong being integrated back into their society? Is it worth anything more than that? Well, evidently, if that propaganda gets to, stupid parts of the world where people are idiots and they'll believe anything, then it may have some value there, but it doesn't have much value anywhere else. And, I'm not on either side. I don't believe in pretending democracy actually exists, well, even here, but I mean also, especially in Hong Kong. I'm not pretending that it does, so I'm not part of the pro-democracy group. I'm not part of the One China group, because China's just one big giant asshole that no one can stand, and, it's inevitable. It's going to get annihilated at some point. All the countries despise the Chinese regime and them as a potential enemy of their own states. The Russians don't like them. The Indians don't like them. The Japanese especially don't like them. The South Koreans don't like them. Nobody likes them. And it's because how they do things. And that might be an argument in going, well, we can't let them take Hong Kong because propaganda and rhetoric are very powerful tools in the Chinese regime. Mostly that would be within the country that they would use those as political weapons of words. However, it isn't, it isn't actually much. It could balloon into something that sounds really bad, and it is for some people. Hell, I'd hate to, be in a country where I could be extradited to somewhere where it's really, really horrible simply for speaking out against the government and criticizing what they've got to say. And I mean, as I said, the mainland Chinese, the Chinese Communist Party, cannot be satiated until they've taken everything. That means they want to occupy North America, they want to occupy Russia, they want to occupy South America, Africa, Europe, Australia. And then maybe, they still won't be satiated. It's a monster. There's no getting around it. And if you want to look differently at it, then you're an idiot or an asshole. And it is spooky stuff. And I, almost feel bad about the people that were there. But they would drag us to hell with them if they could, to save their skin. And it's like, no, we're not getting dragged to hell with you. I'm sorry that is shitty for you, but that's not happening. So, it's a mixed bag, what's going on over there. And people think they're well informed over here. They're not. I know this for a fact. I've spent many years being even less informed than the average person who's informed or thinks they're informed. And yet I believe I am more intelligent than them. That's not what I've been told for years and years, but, well, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. So, yeah, to sum it up, I think the extradition treaty should go through. And, it's not for a good reason. It's for a shitty reason, I admit. If Hong Kong were a little further away from China, the mainland Chinese, I would prefer that, but that's not an option. The Hong Kong government is brutal, and they've had to be to maintain their power. Um, and I won't say they're getting what they deserve, because that wouldn't entirely be true, because it is a horrible, nasty fate to be extradited to mainland China. But at the same time, as a hypothetical, if they did have a hand to play in September 11th, they certainly have motive to have done so, as well as their own government practices. That changes things a little bit, and it is solid reason to go, I don't like this situation. And to be perfectly honest, it's not our problem anymore. So, I hope I offended every other faction in the decision making here. Because this Justin Trudeau bullshit, that, oh, the world's fine, everyone's nice, we're all friendly, happy, rainbow flag bullshit, is what it is. It's bullshit. That's not how the world works, and if you have half a brain, you're not going to get the wool sheep blinded over your eyes. So anyway, I hope I gave some people some idea as to what they could have as far as a constructive opinion on the subject. Anyway, talk to you people later. Have a good one.